Ryan, could you tell us what your role is at Riot?
I lead communications for a part of the company that includes League of Legends.
Okay.
I think that's like the most accurate and succinct way to put it.
So what does communications mean at a company like Riot?
The way that I like to put it is it's easy to figure out some of it where we talk to players, but the like highfalutin way to put it is that we build a bridge between devs and players. So we try to help them get their message out to players, and then especially when they're trying to make something that impacts the game, we try to make sure that players understand that. So we'll write a post, or we'll even just sit down with the devs and kind of figure out like what is it that you want to say, right? And maybe the devs go out themselves and do it, whether that's in a message that goes to all of our players, or if it's a really small change, it just comes from the devs themselves. Um, so yeah, it's kind of a weird job because we kind of do everything differently depending on the circumstance. A lot of times we'll write a dev blog, or we'll help with a script for a video like Riot Please, the kinds of things that we put on our YouTube channel. Things like copy words that you see on microsites, we jump in on all that stuff.
So for
So-
to be a little more specific, what about you and your role? Like, how do you contribute to the whole communications?
I came into Riot as a writer, not rioter, but writer, where I was working on things like the League of Legends art book and things like that. And it was really just if we had a page, we needed to fill it with words, I would help figure out what those words should be so that they seemed good. And I would, it was that same kind of thing. Work with the devs. Maybe at one of the old things I worked on was the original League client update, and so there was all these like
Oh.
blogs that would come out twice a week. Now it's funny now because I'm actually working on it again. Um, but it was like updates about what we changed, things like patch notes. I was doing that, but for the client. Now my job's a little different because I'm a people manager. So there's a whole team of people who really do all the good stuff, and I'm in a lot of meetings. I still get to work on stuff, do individual contributor type stuff. Um, like right now, actually, there's some blogs. There's a blog I'm about to start working on about things we're doing to improve the client. Uh, I kind of jump on things that would otherwise fall through the cracks now because the rest of the team like really holds it down and doesn't really necessarily even need my help most of the time. There's like a team of like 7 of us on in the part of the org that I'm in, which it's not a secret. We call it LOL Inc. internally, but it's like it includes Wild Rift and Teamfight Tactics and League PC.
But not Valorant. Valorant has a separate communications team.
Yeah, they totally do. So like Chris Tom, who goes by Pwiff, he leads comms on that game. And yeah, it's sort of now there's so many games, and I feel a lot better being able to talk about it finally after we announced all this stuff last year. We never could talk about it, right? Because a lot of these actually internal like verticals and like divisions have been around for a long, long time. Like I think CTOM moved over to Valorant like 2 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little crazy to to work on something that long, but like it actually, if you want to do something right, I think it makes sense to have somebody on something like thinking through like how are we really gonna do this thing, how are we gonna launch this thing, what's our messaging, that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's on that one. There's Dylan Buckner. I forget what his like summoner name is, but he's the Legends of Runeterra comms lead. I believe he's still playing that role. And there's a few people who jump in on each different team. And then we've got like Riot Forge coming out. Like that'll be its own team that happens. There's a lot of stuff in the works. And the teams, we like stay in touch, but a lot of times we're kind of off doing our own thing, just like the product teams themselves.
Talking about CTOM and his role internally, it was funny because we knew Valorant was coming up.
Yeah.
They had kind of played it close to the chest, right? R&D. But then as they were getting ready for launch, I kept seeing the messages going out, and I just felt so bad for Tom specifically because all of a sudden it went from like 0 to 60, and it just kept at 60 for months, and I was like, oh my goodness.
It still is. It's at like 120 now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's nuts.
Yeah.